This is Neuron Short 6 about the compress identity. Like the name already suggests, the compress cards are all about video compression in live production workflows. But not only that. I will explain why it's also a firewall and an IP gateway. In our daily lives, almost everything we watch on our mobile devices and on our TVs is actually compressed video, since streaming uncompressed baseband video to your screen or computer takes up way too much bandwidth and disk space. Full HD video requires a stable 3 gigabits per second connection to be able to stream without dropping any frames, while the average internet connection speed is only 15 megabits per second. That's why, in the consumer world, all video streams are compressed to 10 megabits per second max to match the average connection speed at home. So we're talking about compression ratios of over 300 to 1, using compression technologies like H.264 and HEVC. In the broadcast world, everything within and close to the production facility needs to stay baseband as long as possible to avoid loss of video quality and to avoid adding latency. But in some cases, like remote production facilities or connections to OB vehicles and flyaway kits, you don't always have the luxury of a dedicated 3G or 12G connection over that long distance. For these kinds of applications, compression could be useful, but the usual H.264 or HEVC compression technologies are too lossy for use in live production, and you would need a lot of CPU power to encode all the content in real time without delaying the video feeds, because the H.264 and HEVC algorithms are very complex. That's why we need a more efficient, lightweight compression technology which can be encoded and decoded in real time, adding only a few milliseconds of delay, preferably with the least amount of quality loss and not too power hungry, so it wouldn't take dozens of servers to encode and decode a few video feeds. Using this technology, we would be able to connect the feeds coming from or going to a remote facility using less expensive lower bandwidth connections, or to stream more feeds using the same high bandwidth connection which is normally used for only one stream. The compression technology we're talking about is JPEG-XS, an interoperable, visually lossless, low latency and lightweight video codec that is widely used in many professional broadcast applications. The typical targeted compression ratio is about 12 to 1, meaning that for instance a 12 gigabits per second UHD stream can be compressed to only 1 gigabits per second, and a 3 gigabits per second Full HD stream can be compressed to only use 300 megabits per second of bandwidth. The compression ratio can be adjusted on the fly per stream, so if you want to transmit 4K content over a single 3 gigabits per second connection, you can change to a compression ratio of 1 to 4, keeping the video nearly lossless. There are two versions of compress: UHD capable and FHD capable. With the FHD capable cards, you can encode and decode more streams than with the UHD version of course, but not with the usual 4HD equals 1 UHD calculation. The FHD version can simultaneously run 12 encoders and 12 decoders. The UHD capable version can manage 6 encoders and 6 decoders. Neuron Compress uses the same basic architecture as Bridge and Convert, with 16 Full HD processing paths on the HD version and 24 Full HD processing paths, which will most likely be used as 6 UHD processing paths, for the UHD version. Depending on the active licenses, each processing path features audio de-embedding, frame sync, color correction, audio embedding and audio gain phase and shuffling. Neuron Compress cards can also perform UHD remapping and gearboxing, so you can for instance convert 4-wire square division UHD to single-wire 2-sample interleaved UHD. If the processing card is equipped with an SDI expansion board, the card can also function as a gateway, bridging SDI to IP or IP to SDI. The encoders and decoders can be found on the IP Video I/O tab, since the JPEG-XS decoders are located on the IP inputs and the encoders are located on the IP outputs and not on the processing paths. Here you can also see that inputs 7 to 12 on the UHD version and inputs 13 to 24 on the HD version are actually connected to MAX 3 and 4. On the outputs, you can see the same thing, so output 7 to 12 on the UHD version and outputs 13 to 24 on the HD version are going out over max 3 and 4. Max 3 and 4 are referring to the 10 gig per second SFP Plus connectors, while max 1 and 2 are referring to the 100 gig per second QSFP Plus connectors. The reason for this is to keep the compressed domain signals completely isolated from the baseband video domain. Same as with the protect cards, we have a perfect firewall keeping everything that goes in and out of your facility completely separate from the signals inside your facility. The decoders do their job automatically. When the SDP file contains the ST2110-22 label, which tells the listener that the incoming feed contains compressed video, the decoders will automatically decode the JPEG success video to raw video. You can simply select the input stream to be your main or backup input on any of the processing paths. Then you can select via which outputs this processing path should stream out, which can be any of the IP or SDI outputs. The encoders are located here on the 10 gigs per second SFP Plus output streams. You have to set the media type to ST2110-22 to enable the encoder. If you then click the encoder button, you will get a pop-up in which you can set the compression ratio and bitrate. You can set a different ratio for each encoder separately, and changes to the bitrate and compression ratio settings are instantaneous. The rest of the compress interface is similar again to bridge and convert. So we have our separate IP audio inputs and output settings here, the big audio matrix where you can shuffle all the de-embedded and IP audio streams, and the usual general settings and network settings. So, to conclude this video, Compress is the perfect handover card for connecting remote facilities. It not only takes care of JPEG access decoding and encoding, it is also simultaneously a firewall, securing your in and outgoing IP streams, and even a gateway, bridging SDI to and from IP. A truly all-in-one card. Thank you for watching. The next Neuron short will be about the view identity.